Russia-Ukraine conflict has lasted for 4 consecutive years. Russia and Ukraine are still engaged in intense confrontation on the battlefield. Both sides have been caught in a long-term war of attrition, even militarily. Russia holds the initiative. However, Russia has found that it has not yet fully broken through the defense lines set up by Ukrainian forces, and in the process of advancing the front lines, the Russian military is also facing attrition in terms of personnel, weapons and equipment. It is difficult for Russia to achieve a quick victory. For Ukraine, the hope of launching counterattacks against Russian forces and recapturing occupied territories is becoming increasingly slim. Public opinion within Ukraine is changing. Although the vast majority of the people believe that Ukraine must refuse to cede territory for peace, voices calling for peace are now growing louder. In particular, more and more people are demanding a ceasefire through negotiations to restore peace. At the same time, we can see that amid the continuation of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, profound changes have taken place in Europe's security landscape. The security outlook of European countries has been impacted, and they are now in the process of reconstruction and reflection. First, regarding NATO, it is true that during the Russia-Ukraine conflict, NATO has achieved further expansion. The accession of Finland and Sweden once made NATO believe that collective security had gained greater strength, and it sought to form a new confrontation against Russia. But in this process, NATO countries have seen more uncertainties. Ukraine's prospects of joining NATO are now slim. NATO countries are trying hard to avoid being drawn into the conflict, and reflections on future security issues are continuing. Even in the West today, anti-Russia sentiment remains the so-called political correctness. Efforts are still being made to build a stronger consensus on opposing Russia, especially among European countries. They hope to launch a new round of offensives against Russia. But at this point, we can see that in the future reconstruction of Europe's security landscape, how to define Russia's status and role, and whether a more rational strategic balance is needed, have become issues already under consideration within some European countries. We have also noted that the contradictions between Russia and the West are deeply entrenched for years into the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Even though the United States has recently been eager to push forward the negotiation process, trying to reset US-Russia relations, and Russia wants to seize this window of opportunity. The difficult progress of the negotiations shows that on some key issues, especially issues concerning territorial sovereignty, there are obvious gaps in the positions of all parties. It is difficult for Russia and Ukraine to reach a compromise. As for the future reconstruction of relations between Russia and the West, the fundamental contradictions are now difficult to resolve. This means that the follow-up negotiation process is full of uncertainties. Over the 4 years of the conflict, relations between Russia and the West, including energy and economic cooperation between Russia and Europe, have been affected. There are continuous pressures from Western sanctions and attempts to cripple Russia's economy. In this process, on the one hand, Russia is under enormous pressure. On the other, from the West's perspective, it is also difficult to stop the continuation of the conflict. Issues such as how to lift sanctions and Russia's economic reconstruction still remaining insurmountable obstacles between Russia and the West.